Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for joining me on this fascinating journey through time and technology. Today, we are going to explore one of the most overlooked yet incredible inventions of the early modern age, the stereoscopic theater. Specifically, we will dive into the story of the oldest stereoscopic theater in Europe, a unique cultural and technological gem that predates modern cinema and virtual reality by over a century. This presentation will take you through its invention, how it works, its historical significance, and why it still captures the imagination of historians, artists, and technologists alike. Before we talk about the oldest stereoscopic theater in Europe, let's first understand what a stereoscopic theater is. A stereoscopic theater is a visual entertainment space where viewers experience three-dimensional images using a special optical technique called stereoscopy. By presenting two slightly different images, one for each eye, the brain combines them to create the illusion of depth, offering a strikingly realistic view. This concept is the foundation of all 3D visuals today, from movies to VR headsets. But what's truly amazing is that this immersive visual experience was being enjoyed in public spaces in Europe as far back as the 19th century. The concept of stereoscopy was introduced by Sir Charles Wheatstone in 1838. He discovered that when two slightly offset images were presented separately to each eye, they produced a sense of depth. This led to the invention of the stereoscope, a device that allowed people to view 3D images at home. Soon after, inventors and artists realized they could take this experience from a personal device to a shared public setting, a theater. Thus, stereoscopic theaters were born. The concept of stereoscopy was introduced by Sir Charles Wheatstone in 1838. He discovered that when two slightly offset images were presented separately to each eye, they produced a sense of depth. This led to the invention of the stereoscope, a device that allowed people to view 3D images at home. Soon after, inventors and artists realized they could take this experience from a personal device to a shared public setting, a theater. Thus, stereoscopic theaters were born. Imagine being in the 1850s, a time with no TV, no internet, and even photography still in its infancy, and then stepping into a room where you could see the Alps in 3D or ancient Rome brought to life in front of your eyes. This was revolutionary. These theaters used carefully crafted stereo photographs printed on glass or paper. A rotating mechanism or manually operated slide system changed the images, much like early cinema projectors. Some versions even used lighting techniques and painted backgrounds to enhance the sense of depth and realism. The stereoscopic theater was not just about entertainment, it was educational. Many people saw foreign lands, historical monuments, or scientific phenomena for the first time in 3D. These theaters became popular attractions at fairs, world exhibitions, and museums. In Victorian Europe, where curiosity and exploration were in full bloom, stereoscopic theaters fed the public's hunger for discovery. They were seen as tools of enlightenment, bringing knowledge and wonder to people who might never have the chance to travel or witness great works of architecture and nature firsthand. The visual storytelling of stereoscopic theaters laid the foundation for modern visual arts, especially film. The idea of moving images and the illusion of depth inspired early filmmakers like the Lumiere brothers. In fact, many early cinematographers experimented with stereo filming and projection long before 3D cinema became popular in the 20th century. The language of visual perspective, framing, and viewer immersion owes much to these early pioneers of 3D experience. Despite their popularity, stereoscopic theaters began to fade in the early 20th century. The rise of motion pictures, radio, and more modern forms of entertainment led to their decline. Many of the old theaters were dismantled or forgotten. The delicate glass slides were lost or damaged. For decades, they remained a niche interest among collectors and historians. But in recent years, interest in these early 3D spaces has returned. Museums have begun restoring stereoscopic slides, and digital reconstructions of theaters have allowed new generations to experience the magic. So, why should we care about a forgotten 19th century theater? Because it represents the roots of immersive technology. Today, we talk about virtual reality, augmented reality, and interactive media as cutting-edge frontiers, but they all started with the basic idea of stereoscopic illusion. Understanding these early innovations gives us insight into how human creativity pushes the boundaries of perception. It reminds us that our desire to see and feel more deeply, more realistically has always been a driving force behind technological progress. The oldest stereoscopic theater in Europe was more than a novelty, it was a gateway to other worlds, an early experiment in virtual presence, and a marvel of both art and science. As we explore new frontiers in digital media and visual storytelling, we should look back and celebrate these moments in history that brought people together not just to be entertained, but to be amazed. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this glimpse into the world of early stereoscopic theater has opened your eyes quite literally to the depth of history behind our modern experiences.